What's up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new story. Today we have a story of the most sus girl in school. So yeah, sit back, relax, and let's just jump right into it. We're going to call the subscriber who submitted this story Oliver. So anyways, there was a girl in Oliver's school who's just known as the most sus girl at the school. The strangest, the weirdest, the most, what did you just say type girl in the entire school. And for the sake of this video, we're going to call her the sus girl. So anyways, right, just for an example, just to give you guys a little bit of context, right, this girl, you know, she got a reputation from her actions. It wasn't just a label people slapped on her or anything. She deserved this label. Let me give you an example of why. Let me just give you a little bit of an example of why, right? So 1 week ago, this all happened 1 week ago before the story really starts. Oliver and his friends were sitting at the table, and Oliver was just there enjoying a nice meal, hanging out with his friends when the sus girl comes up and sits down at his table. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. They're all friendly with her. They just know that she's a little strange. And the sus girl goes up to one of the guys, and this guy happens to have chickens at his house. He just happens to, like, you know, I don't think he lives on a full-on farm or something, but all I know is his parents have chickens. And that was, like, the first thing he introduced himself. That was, like, his fun fact. I don't know if you guys have that, like, fun fact when you introduce yourself. You're like, hey, guys, my name's whatever. And, like, that's, like, one of the first things you bring up as kind of a conversation starter and to make you stand out. Basically, this guy having chickens at his house made him, that's kind of, like, something that everyone knew him by. So she was like, she goes up to this kid, and she says, I like your cock. And they're all like, hey, yo, what? Bro, what? And everyone at the table stood up and they're like, yo, wait a minute. And she's like, what? And this guy's like, what did you do? And she's like, yeah, like your chicken. Your chickens, man. Like the cocks, the chickens. And everyone's like, no, I know what you... And Oliver's like, bro, we all know what you meant by that. We all know. She's like, no, genuinely. Doesn't this guy have chickens? And they're all like, yeah, he does have chickens. And then they're all like, no, you knew what you did. And she's just sitting there with a big old smile on her face, a massive grin on her face. And everyone's like, get out. That's enough. Out of here. And she laughs and she walks out of there. That's just it. One example of why this is the most sus girl at school. So anyways, this story all starts one day. It just seems like a normal day. And once again, the sus girl came and sat down at their table, and Oliver was having I like your cock flashbacks immediately. He's like, hell nah, bro. This is not gonna go well. Like, there's a 0% chance that this will not end in some weird, ridiculous, crazy type of something. This will turn out bad. Look, Vegas odds, Vegas isn't even going to let you bet on this because it would be a scam. They would probably be shut down by the government because these odds are rigged 100-0 in their favor. Anyways, the girl sits down and they all kind of look at her, just waiting, right? They're just waiting for whatever she's going to say. And she just, like, looks at them. And she's like, boys, give me anything and I'll eat it. And she just looks at them and they're all like, yo, what? Bro, what is this girl on? Are you serious right now? And they're all just like, come again? Excuse me, dude, come again? Like, what? Yeah, so anyways, Oliver's like, all right, well. And Oliver's like, takes a bit of someone else's lunch, and takes a bit of his lunch, and, like, crushes it all together. So it's like this disgusting mix of, like, look, each of the lunches were nice on their own, but put together, it's not great. I mean, for example, I like hamburgers, I like ice cream, and I also like, what else do I like? I also like chicken bacon wraps. But if you put all those things in a blender and gave it to me, bro, I'm just saying, the 3 parts are good, but you blend them together, that is not good. I'm not falling for that. Yeah, so that's basically what he did. And this girl, and he's like, well, you said you'd eat anything, and everyone's already like, this girl's so sus, but she, like, you'd eat anything, then eat this. And bro, the sus girl is like, okay, grabs it and literally starts to take, okay, gross warning, just gross warning alert. Leave a like in the video to cleanse your eyes or your ears, I guess, or your soul at this point. She takes like chunks of whatever and just starts eating it without an expression on her face. And the weirdest thing is while she's doing this entire thing, she is just looking into Oliver's eyes, bro. She is not breaking eye contact while eating the grossest concoction of garbage you have ever seen. Half the kids at the table just keel over. One kid stands up, rushes to the bathroom. Half of them are laughing. The other half, I just said like 3 halves. Yeah, 150%. Yeah, okay, whatever. Yeah, but basically the kids are freaking out and Oliver's like, boys, why is she making eye contact with me right now? I am very uncomfortable. Yeah, so basically, this girl finishes the whole food concoction, and while the entire time, I think she blinks once in the entire minute while making eye contact with Oliver while eating this thing. And you might be thinking, oh, she must look down to grabs. No, she is not looking down to grab the food. She does not look away for a single second besides to blink once. For the entire minute of eating that gross concoction, she is making straight on eye contact with Oliver. And Oliver is fully freaked out at this point, and he's just like, well, this is why she is the sus girl. Yeah, so anyways, she gets up and she's like, better try something harder next time. Wink. And they're all like, yo, no, no. Yeah, so she gets up and leaves, and they all sit down, and they're just like, oh my God, like, how? Satan's spawn right there, bro. What is going on? But then a different conversation comes up, a different topic comes up, which you guys might think is completely unrelated to the story, which you would be wrong. So basically, there is, the school dance is coming up in about a week, and they're all talking about who they're going to go with. And a bunch of friends have already asked other people. Some people are planning to, but Oliver just genuinely has no idea who he wants to ask. And he's like, yeah, I don't know. I might have to solo this one. Like, it's a little tough. And look, it is a little tough. I have soloed a few dances where you're supposed to bring someone. It's not the greatest. It's tough. I'm not going to lie. You definitely feel like, dang, I'm like the only one here without a date. So it's tough. So, you know what? Let's pray for Oliver. 1 like equals 1 prayer for Oliver. But anyways, let's just say that Oliver's prayers are about to be answered, but they're not to be answered the normal way. Basically, they're answered in the way that you'd get a deal with the devil, aka you get what you want, but the twist is so bad that you wish you never asked for it at all. Because a little while later, one of the sus girl's friends, who is pretty normal, which is just very interesting, but maybe she wasn't a close friend, maybe she just was a friend, comes up to Oliver later in school, and she's like, hey, Oliver. And he's like, hey, like, Audrey, what's good? She's like, well, I just want to know, are you taking anyone to the formal? And in Oliver's head for a second, he's like, oh, is she going to ask me? Like, all right. And he's like, no. She's like, do you plan to with anyone? And he's like, no. And she's like, okay, good. So my friend says the name of the sus girl, and Oliver's like, ah, hell nah, bro. Oh, no. No. Yeah, so she's like, yeah, the sus girl really wants to, I think she's going to ask you out today. And he's like, what? Yeah, she's like, yeah, I'm probably going to ask you out today. So good to know that you're not taking anyone else, because I will let her know to ask you. Goodbye. Literally gets up, leaves. Oliver's just standing there. Immediately calls up the boys. He's like, boys, we got a code red. We got a code triple red. We got a code, oh, hell no, right now. So everyone, they come together. They sit down at the lunch table, even though it's not even lunch. It's like during their break period or whatever. They break into the lunchroom just to sit down together. And yeah, sure enough, Oliver explains the situation. They're all like, oh, no, bro. But then one of them says something very interesting. He says, so I get it. She's a bit of a loose cannon, a bit of a, bull in a china shop, more like a steamroller in a china shop sometimes. However, is that worse than going to this dance alone? Because they all low-key knew that, like, this was definitely a dance where you wanted to take someone, and going alone wasn't the greatest. Like, it was Oliver's plan, but Oliver for a second was like, yeah, you know what? Maybe she'll, like, get her act together for the dance, which, of course not, but maybe she'll get her act together for the dance. You know what? I'm going to give her a chance here. So sure enough, Oliver's like, you know what? If she asks me, I'll say yes. This was mistake number 1, and truly, it only went downhill from here. So anyways, the day was almost over, and Oliver was kind of expecting, like, okay, when is she going to ask me? And it's like the bell rings, and they're walking out from school, and that's when, Oliver sees the sus girl basically just beelining it, bolting it right towards her, or right towards him, just a bump, like power walking towards this guy, and stands up in front of him, and Oliver's like, oh, okay, that was a little abrupt. And she's like, Oliver, I wanted to know if you wanted to go to the dance with me next week. And some people kind of like stopped and like kind of listened to what was going on because, hey man, I mean, at least for me in middle school, whenever someone asked someone out to our cotillion, which is like the big deal, dude, that was talk of the town for like months, bro. And if there was someone asking someone out with like a poster or just in general, everyone paid attention. So yeah, some kids were slowing down, looking over their shoulders, seeing what's going on, kind of giving like Oliver the like good work bro type look. And he's like, yeah, that sounds good. Cool. And that's when she takes his hand and just licks it like a cat would lick their paw. And Oliver's face is just like, bro, I knew something was gonna happen, but why? Why me? Yeah, so she's like, all right, see you there, wink, and then walks away. And Oliver's just like, I gotta watch this thing before I contract the bubonic plague 3.0, bro. Oh my god. Yeah, so everyone's just looking at him, and everyone was kind of just like shocked by what they saw because the first part was pretty normal. I mean, you ask someone out to the dance, that's not too weird. But then you take their hand and lick it like a big slurp afterwards, bro. What? And you guys might be thinking, okay, how much worse can she possibly get? Like, this must be the worst. Definitely nothing else weird's gonna happen. No, she must get really normal after this point. Wrong. Completely incorrect. Yeah, let me just say that the dance is somehow worse than what happened before. Yeah, I'm not even kidding. Real quick, if you made it this far into the video, comment a dance down below. That'll be the secret word of the day. I'll try and heart as many comments as I can that say that word. I can't get to them all, but I'll do my best. Leave a like on the video for your free nothing. Limited time offer. It's a fantastic deal. Obviously, subscribe if you're new. And the final thing is, if you want to support the channel, the best way to do so is just to watch videos after this one. Go ahead and watch my old story videos when you're done with this. I have a Storytime playlist in the pinned comment to make it nice and easy for you guys. And let's get back into it because the dance is about to be pretty crazy. So anyways, it's a week later, and it is the school dance. So basically on that Friday night, or it's like they get out of school around 3, and they're supposed to come back to the school at 6 for the dance. So they're able to go back home. And it's Oliver and all of his boys. They go over to Oliver's house, and they have their clothes or whatever. They get dressed up a little bit. This isn't like some bring your tuxedo type thing, because, bro, what, 8th grader has a tuxedo, dude? But anyways, it's like, yeah, bring your outfit or something. I don't know, get nice and dressed up or something, have a suit jacket or just or at least come in with a collared shirt or something like that. And so they get all dressed up, they get all fancy, and Oliver sits down with his friends, with the boys, and he's just like, boys, if I don't make it out of here alive, man, if I don't make it out of here alive, I want you to give all my belongings to my cat. And they're like, Oliver, you have no belongings. You're 14, bro. You have nothing to your name. You have $0. He's like, okay, well, that's going to make the will very easy, won't it? They're all like, okay, man. On the serious, though, if you need us to bail you out of something, which, spoiler alert, they will need to help them out in the future. So good thing they're having this conversation. Oliver, if you need me to, bail you out of anything, you just give us the word and we got you. And he's like, all right, man, I might actually have to take you up on that. Little did Oliver know he did need to take them up on that. But anyways, so they get to the dance, and the sus girl is nowhere to be found. And Oliver's like, dang, did she really ditch me? Dang, all right, well, this is, not good, but also maybe dodged a bullet. And that's when he receives a phone call. So everyone's walking into the dance. And, basically there's, a chaperone who's checking them in. But very strangely enough, once they get into, the gymnasium where the dance is happening, there's, a DJ in there, but there's, no chaperone in there, which is really weird. I would have 100% expected, there to be a chaperone. But apparently it was this one guy checking them in the front. So he gets a call from the sus girl because they exchange numbers or Snapchats or whatever just to stay in communication before the dance if anything were to happen. And he picks up the phone. He's like, hey, like, where are you at? And she's like, I'm behind the bush. And Oliver's like, of course you're behind the freaking bush. Where else would you be? Oh, I'd be less surprised if you were in the sky than where you're supposed to be right now. But he doesn't say that. He's like, what? And she's like, yeah, come behind the bush. He's like, what bush? And she's like, turn around 70 degrees. And he turns around about 70 degrees and he sees a bush with like kind of low-key clearly someone in it. He's like, oh, what? He hangs up, walks over to the bush, and the sus girl is in an outfit. Because here's the thing, right? They have some standards for this dance. They have some standards. Let me just say that this outfit would not have flown at all at any school with any dress code at all. Maybe if there wasn't a dress code, like the dress code was wear clothes if you want to type dress code, then yeah, like whatever. Bro, she was not going to make it in with the dress code they had. And Oliver's like, dude, what? Because yeah, she was basically just, oh man, it was pretty ridiculous. Yeah, so he's like, oh my God, like they're not going to let you in looking like that. And she's like, what? Yeah, that's why I need you to go in there and open the back door for me. So basically the gymnasium had a main front door and then a back door. He's like, isn't that like the fire exit? Won't the alarm go off? And she says, relax, Oliver. I've been through that exit so many times. It doesn't even work. This school is not up to fire code. He's just like, well, that's kind of concerning, but okay, I guess. So she says, go in there right now and let me in. He's like, okay. So sure enough, he walks back and he walks up to the front and the teacher's like, oh, do you have a date with you? And he's like, no. And the teacher's like, oh, well, that's fine. You're probably going to have more fun than your friends anyways because you're just chilling by yourself, right, bud? And Oliver's like, it's fine. Like, I'm fine. And the teacher's like, no. I mean, really, coming with a date is, like, kind of cool. Like, and Oliver's like, please stop. Bro, please stop. Yeah, so eventually he gets in and he goes to the back door and he opens it up and she's waiting there and she's like, what took you so long? And Oliver's like, it's been 2 minutes. Are you serious? And she's like, whatever. Brings him in. It's like everyone's in like the center or whatever, dancing or something. And yeah, things are pretty good. However, a little bit later on, he gets pulled aside by one of the sus girl's friends. And the sus girl's we're just going to call this girl Audrey again. Might be the same girl, might be different. It wasn't specified. By the way, the story was submitted to me via my Instagram, so if you have stories, do that as well. But anyways, this girl, who we're just going to call Audrey, one of the sus girl's friends, pulls Oliver aside and is like, hey, bud. So this sus girl, big fan of you. And Oliver's like, oh, word, all right. Like, that's cool. I'm cool with that. And she's like, no. Big fan of you. And he's like, yeah, I know. That's awesome. She's like, no. I still don't think you understand. She's going to try and make out with you in front of everyone, push you on the floor, and make a huge scene about it, too. And he's like, what? Say that again. And Audrey's like, okay. She's going to make a big scene, push you on the floor, and he's like, no, I didn't mean to actually say that again. I just meant, like, are you serious? And she says, yes, I'm very serious. She just told all of her friends she's going to do that at the next song. And they're hearing the song. And I don't know what the song is, but Oliver knows the song is at least halfway done. And he's like, oh my God. So he calls up his friend. He gets into like a group chat and he types SOS emergency alert. And within like 10 seconds, they all turn around and they find where he is and they all crowd around him. So Oliver's like, boys, I need you to sneak me out of here. And they're all like, what happened? He's like, no time to explain. Once that song ends, I'm finished. And they listen, and it's like the last minute of the song. They're like, oh my God. So they look around, and they're like, okay. And Oliver's like, I need to be stealthily let out of here. So they're like, okay. So like 4 of the guys are like, we'll make a shield. No one will notice who's coming in and who's coming out. So they make basically like a straight line of people, so you can't see through it. And Oliver's like, okay, perfect. And he's like, and then 2 other guys are like, okay, we're going to go at the back end exit. Or like, we're going to go at the front exit. And Oliver's like, no, there's too many people looking. We have to go at the back. And he's like, and one of the guys like, but that's going to set off the fire alarm. He's like, trust me, it won't. I just used it. And they're like, isn't that against fire code? He's like, yes, I just learned this like 10 minutes ago. I'm kind of messed up about it as well, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So sure enough, they make a solid line. No one can see in or out, and they lead Oliver out through the back exit. They get him outside, and as the door closes, they hear the song change. And Oliver just slumps to the ground. It's like, oh my God. Oh my God. And his friends were like, dude, what was going to happen? He's like, you know the sus girl? They're all like, yeah, of course we know the sus girl, bro. And that was the guy with the chickens. He's like, yeah, remember how she said she liked my... And he's like, okay, yes, I do remember. Basically, her friend came up to me and told me by the time that song was over, that she was going to push me to the ground in front of everyone and just vigorously make out with me in front of everybody, bro. Like, what? They're all like, oh my God, dude. Like, if it was that serious, you should have told us. We would have cleared the whole building, bro. And he's like, it's fine. Like, all I need to do is just chill out here for a second and make sure things calm down. And that's when one of the guys walks through the door, and they're all like, what's good? And he's like, bro, like, Oliver, I'm sorry, bro, your date is doing something with someone else. And Oliver's like, what? And sure enough, Oliver peeks through the window, and there's another guy in their grade who is we're just going to call him the strangest guy in the grade. Because remember, this is 8th grade. All he does is sit outside and eat clumps of dirt with the rocks and the worms and the grass in it. He just eats dirt all day, every day. Like, he's like one of those guys who has 50,000 supplements a day to try and get all maximum nutrition, even though you're just going to pee most of it out and lose most of your money. But anyways, he's just eating clumps of dirt per day. That is the strangest guy in school, and we're just going to call him a strange guy. The sus girl was just straight up making out with the strange guy in front of everyone, basically doing to him what she was going to do to Oliver. However, unlike her and Oliver, they were a perfect match. They were at each other's level of weird, strange, sus, creepy awkwardness, right? So actually, a long-term relationship formed that night between the strange guy and the sus girl. And Oliver was able to go back in and be totally fine. And one of the sus girl's friends comes up to Oliver and it's like, oh my God, dude, I'm so sorry. Like, your date's basically cheating on you. And Oliver's like, don't worry. What's up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new story. Today we have a story of a girl who went to the bathroom in class. And this is all because her teacher said no to her whenever she wanted to go to the bathroom, man. I don't know if you guys have had a teacher like this before, but when you ask to go to the bathroom, they say no. Well, this is a story of that going really, really wrong. So we're going to call the subscriber who submitted the story Nathan. So anyways, Nathan was in a lab class. This was one of the lab science classes that he took. It was a very special class in his high school where it's like all the AP type students, like the ones who want to have like really hard accelerated classes and have some really good stuff on their college resumes, right? So Nathan, was taking this class, and one thing about this class was it wasn't only just super difficult, which it was very difficult, but it also was 2 hours long. The class periods for him were normally like 45 minutes or around that, or maybe closer to an hour. So this was at a minimum a 2 class period length class. So it was already really long in the first place. So this all started one day. Actually, let me give you a little bit more background. Their teacher was this old grumpy guy. This guy who's been teaching for a very long time, and he's done things a certain way, and things will not be done a different way, man. Basically, right, they had a professor that was very much stuck in his old ways, and if you didn't do what he said, then you were wrong, bro. He's been doing this forever. So this story all started one day. And this all started one day that seemed like it was going to be a normal day, and it was during one of the labs. And there was a girl in Nathan's class. We're just going to call her the girl, right? Or this girl, because she doesn't really need a name, because I forget names all the time when I use them. But anyways, right, they were kind of sitting in class. It was about like 45 minutes in, and this girl raises her hand and asks very politely, may I go use the bathroom, right? And for some reason, and no one really knows why this guy, the teacher, was having such a bad day, but apparently he was just having a bad day. Because this teacher legitimately says no, like, you may not, like, you should have done that before class, you're not going to interrupt, like, your learning experience or whatever, like, you should have done that before, I told you I prefer everyone does it before, yada yada, kind of like stuff along those lines. And she responds like, I didn't have to go before, but I got to go now. The teacher says, no, you can go after class. And remember, it's only 45 minutes into the class period, so she still has at least an hour and 15 minutes left. And the thing is, right, there are so many times where, like, I don't know that I need to go to the bathroom, like before, like if a 45-minute span is a reasonable amount of time for you to not know you had to go to the bathroom and then realize you really had to go to the bathroom. So everything gets a lot worse when this girl, raises her hand again. And the teacher looks over. This is 20 minutes later, by the way. So 20 minutes of time passes, and the girl raises her hand again. And, the teacher looks over, and this girl, and he's like, yes. And the girl's like, I really got to go. I know you're not happy with it, but I really got to go to the bathroom. She's basically saying this, like, on the verge of tears. And, like, Nathan didn't even really realize this until he looked over and was like, oh my God, like this girl's like actually like not having a good time at all. And once again, the teacher's like, no, like I stand by what I said before. You can wait 45 minutes or however much longer was in the class. The girl's like, I don't think so. And this girl was like low key saying this, but she was basically crying at this point. She was tearing up. Like it was, the kids in the class were looking over all concerned, bro, because they were like, wow, like something's going on over here. And obviously, this teacher's doing a pretty bad thing, but he gets his karma. Don't worry, guys. Stick around till the end of the story, because this is a good karma story. Don't worry about it. I got you with that. Anyways, though, this girl, the professor shuts her down again. And this girl, at this point, is just sitting there. And she's looking so uncomfortable. And Nathan just feels so absolutely terrible about this whole thing, right? He just feels awful about what's happening. And he watches as this girl is looking around almost frantically, right? She's looking around like just, she's like, oh my God. And she like gets up and she like kind of like does the pee-pee walk over, when you got to go to the bathroom, so you got to cross your legs. Pee-pee walks over to the lab desk. And what is on the lab desk? A bunch of test tubes and beakers. It was like a chemistry type lab. And this was one where they either did experiments or, other classes, higher up classes did experiments. I don't know. Either way, they had beakers / test tubes, etc., right? She grabs one of the test tubes. I think you guys can see where this is going, right? And she kind of pee-pee walks back to her seat. And this is where Nathan was like low-key not trying to watch to see what was going on, but also high-key was trying to watch to see what was going on because he knew that something was about to go down, right? He knew that something was up. And yeah, sure enough, this girl apparently had to go. And sometimes when you have to go, you have to go. So I don't want to go into the details of this because like I don't know how it worked. It just did. She somehow got it so that if she was to pee, it would have gone, basically all of it, I don't think it was a perfectly perfect process, right? Was going to go in the test tube. So yeah, this girl basically finds a way to get the test tube up there and basically pees into it. And I'm sure it wasn't a perfect process, but all I know is that basically this girl was peeing in class into a test tube. She was towards the back of the class and it was a pretty big lab, so like no one really noticed. I mean, maybe a few other people noticed. I don't think anyone was saying anything because no one wanted to call her out because they all felt really bad for her. And, but Nathan, like most people were just like bored, spacing out on their phones, looking at the front of the class. No one really saw this going down besides Nathan. And obviously Nathan's not going to be staring at her, not going to be paying extra crazy attention. That's why some of these details are a little fuzzy too. Nathan just doesn't even know. But he's like, oh my God, like that's like, this is really crazy. So sure enough, she's done, kind of a look of relief on her face. Also a huge look of embarrassment and probably terror just in case someone was watching this whole thing. And I genuinely feel awful, bro, because like, dude, if you're a teacher and you're really so like, oh, they should have gone before class, bro, does it really matter? Here's the thing. If a kid decides to go into the bathroom and waste all their time in there and like genuinely just goes on their phone or something, doesn't have to go to the bathroom, dude, isn't that going to be on them in the first place? Like, are you not telling me that like it's not going to be reflected in their grades and all their scores or whatever already? Just let them go to the bathroom, because worst case scenario, they goof off and they don't have to go to the bathroom. Well, they're just going to lose. In most case scenarios, they actually have to go to the bathroom, and you're just letting them go to the bathroom. Like, I feel like at a certain point, you're kind of, yeah, if some kid is going every, like, 5 minutes, that's a little suspicious, and maybe have a talk with him because he probably isn't going or has an actual medical condition or something like that. But, bro, you just can't be taking that away from people. But anyways, right, this girl, and now has here's the problem, though. This girl is holding onto a test tube full of pee. Where do you put it at this point? Because I think at that point, she was just so desperate to relieve herself that she didn't even think about, like, she just wanted to figure out a way to do it. I will say peeing into a test tube might be one of the most creative ways I've ever heard. However, things are about to go really, really bad. So anyways, right, she has the test tube, and she's just holding it. And the thing is, what are you supposed to do? You got a test tube full of pee, bro. You can't walk up and put it back, because you've already probably drawn some attention to yourself by just, like, everything that's going on already, and surprisingly she hasn't, so she's trying to play it safe. Second of all, you can't just put it on the desk because it's a test tube. It's going to fall over and the stuff's going to spill everywhere. And even if you did put it back on like the shelf where you got it from, it's going to be so obvious because it's going to be clear test tube, clear test tube, clear test tube, pee-filled test tube, clear test. Wait a minute. And then everyone's going to pay attention to the pee-filled test tube, right? There's not a good option. So she just holds on to it, right? But the thing is, the test tube was low-key kind of slippery. I'm not going to go into why, but I guess you guys can. It wasn't a perfect shot in, is all I'm trying to say. It didn't all get in there perfectly. So, yeah. Sure enough, Nathan watches as the test tube's kind of sliding out of her fingers, and she quickly, like, pushes it back up, holds onto it, starts to slide out again, holds on tighter. Nathan is just infatuated by what's going on. He just can't break eye contact. And then, the worst possible thing ever happens. The test tube that was already slipping out of her hands completely slips out of her hands. But it doesn't just fall next to her. It basically, like, it hits the ground, and it doesn't break immediately. It doesn't do anything like that. It bounces. The most unlucky thing possible. The test tube bounces in a direction that it goes into the, like, because, like, there's a bunch of desks, but there was kind of, like, a middle section where you could walk down, like, the aisle. There was almost, like, two sides to the room where, like, the teacher could walk down in front or whatever. The test tube bounces, so it went basically into, like, the middle of the classroom. Then it shattered, and then the yellow liquid went everywhere. It was the worst case scenario possible. Real quick, if you made it this far into the video, comment P down below. I don't know, man. Maybe, wait, actually don't do that. I think YouTube might, like, block your comment automatically or something. I don't know. You can try it, but comment, what should you even comment? Comment lab down below, just because of, like, test tube, lab, whatever. So LAB, secret word of the day. I'll try and hard as many comments to say that. Subscribe if you're new. Leave a like on the video if you want to get your comment replied to. One of the best ways is to have notifications on to comment the first 5 minutes. Best way to support the channel is to watch my older videos. Very easy way to do this. Pin a comment. Anyways, yeah, let's get back to it. Enough plugging my stuff. Because I know this story is interesting. So right now, just a little recap. She has the vial full of pee. It slips out of her hand. It bounces. It ricochets out. And boom, it hits the ground, shatters, pee goes everywhere, glass goes everywhere. The class goes silent because it was really loud, and it was also, like, in between the teacher talking. So it was like, it just happened to hit during a dead silent space. Like, unlucky thing after unlucky thing after unlucky thing. And the teacher looks up, is like, what? Like, what is this? And he looks at it, and he walks over to it. And the poor girl is just, like, at this point, she's on the verge of tears again. She doesn't say anything. The thing is, too, like, people low-key knew where it came from because the bounce was very clear. And he takes a whiff of it. He's like, oh, is that urine? And at this point, bro, the girl legit gets up and runs out of the class crying. Bro, Nathan feels so bad for her right now. And everyone else in the class is now starting to put 2 and 2 together because this was the girl who was on the verge of tears earlier, that she couldn't go to the bathroom because the professor's like, not in my class. Back in my day, we didn't pee for weeks at a time because we were good, disciplined boys or whatever. I don't freaking know, dude. Yeah, but anyways, people are starting to figure out that it was her. And yeah, everyone felt really bad. And the teacher was, like, kind of too stunned to speak for a second because he was starting to figure out what was going on. And he started to realize, wait a minute, that was the girl who seemed pretty desperate to go to the bathroom that I told no. And then she ran away when I kind of made comments about this pee vial on the ground. Wait a minute. Yeah, so the guy was starting to put 2 and 2 together. The whole class was like, oh, my God. They're all talking about it. And then the professor just continues on class like nothing happened. This guy's best move was to be like, I don't know, bro. I don't know what you're talking about. If I can't see you, you can't see me, dude. It's like those little kids when they play hide and seek, and they literally just cover their eyes and be like, bro, if I can't see you, you can't see me. That's basically the same logic he's implying. He's like, if I don't pay attention to it, it doesn't exist. So he just keeps on going, teaching class, while there's a big puddle of pee and broken glass in the front of the room. It's completely ridiculous. Nathan is like, bro, what is this guy on? What is this guy doing? But here's the thing. This girl didn't just like run into the bathroom to go cry alone or something, which would have been very sad. And she probably did want to do that. But this girl was also pretty upset. She wasn't just embarrassed. She wasn't just like sad. She wasn't just all of those emotions. She was also upset because she knew that she had been wronged, and that this all happened because the teacher like basically neglected her like actual rights as a student or whatever. I don't know what the rights of a student are, but I feel like allowing someone to relieve themselves, I feel like that's almost a right of a student. I don't know. Like, I know there's no constitution of rights of students or something, but I feel like that definitely is something that should be across the board better for teachers to do. So yeah, the girl actually goes to the front office, sits down with someone, and explains everything that happened. And the front office probably realized that this was like a pretty big situation. This is a pretty big deal, and that it could definitely turn into something if they didn't deal with it. So the front office was very sympathetic, and they decided to take action immediately. And when I mean immediately, I mean immediately. And this is where things get really, really interesting. And the only reason Nathan knows that she went to the front office is because of this. So anyways, Nathan is in class. There's about 20 minutes left of class. 15 minutes ago was P-gate. We're going to call the whole situation P-gate, right? She dropped a vial of pee. It hit the ground. Boom. 15 minutes ago. The professor, after not speaking for a minute as she ran out and like, I don't know, all that kind of stuff, has just been teaching chemistry class for the last 15 minutes as if nothing happened. He's playing the whole, if I don't acknowledge it, it never happened type game, which is a little bit of a goofy game to play, but anyways, right? So sure enough, with 20 minutes left of class, the door opens up, and it is the girl, but it's not just the girl. It is also two teachers. And the two teachers come in, and one of them, like the girl points at the vial on the ground, one teacher comes over and takes a photo of it, and the other one goes up to like the professor in the class and says, hey, can we talk to you for a second outside? And the professor's like, okay. And he steps outside, and all four of them are out there. At this point, right, Nathan's just like, oh, wow. And one of the kids is like, yo, I gotta know what's going on. So one of the kids legitimately gets out of his chair and like runs up to the door and presses his ear against the door to hear what's happening. So this is why Nathan knows exactly what is said, because one of his friends in the class gets up and listens to everything and tells him afterwards. So basically what is being said is like the teachers are like to this other guy, or like the administrators are like this girl told you twice she had to go to the bathroom. The second time, like, was it not clear that she really needed to go? And he's like, well, I tell them that they need to go before my class. And like, they're just like, I don't know. At this point, like the other like administrators are like, one of them was like a woman. They're like, oh, you don't know what it's like for us. You guys can hold it in forever, but we can't. Like, it just works differently for us. And then the other teacher says, well, you should really let your kids go to the bathroom. And because of what you did, like, you embarrassed her. Like, she had to go. Like, she physically had to go. And the professor's like, well, I didn't make her drop the vial in front of everyone. And, like, the other administrator's like, well, the whole reason that she dropped the vial in front of everyone was because of you. Like, that would have never happened if you just let her go at least the second time. Like, we can at least, dismiss the first time, but the second time, like, was she not kind of tearing up? Was she not acting very frantic? And the professor's like, well, that's how all students are dramatic these days, or whatever, something like that. And they're like, well, anyways, that's the end of the conversation that they heard. Basically, what ended up happening was this teacher was put on actual administrative leave. Yeah, no. Today we got a pretty crazy story, as you can probably tell by the title, so sit back, relax, subscribe if you're new, and let's call today's subscriber, let's call him Kyle. So this all happened because Kyle had a girlfriend, and I'm just going to call her Kyle's girlfriend, because if I have too many names, I forget them, and then you guys are like, oh, Connor, you're forgetting the name. I know I'm forgetting the name, man. Anyways, though, so Kyle had a girlfriend, but But the thing was that like Kyle's girlfriend's parents were really just not for her having a boyfriend or any type of relationship at all, because like, she was a junior. It was college application season. They said once you're like into college or once you're at college, you can do literally whatever you want. But up until that point, like, we want you to pay attention 100% on school, as like putting 100% focus now will really be super important for like the rest of your life or whatever. If that's actually true, I mean, college is important, but like, I think you can probably manage a relationship as well, but I'm not the parent here. But anyways, right, all you need to know is that Kyle's girlfriend's parents were not for her having a relationship of any kind and any sorts. And for that reason, it made it really hard for Kyle and his girlfriend to have a relationship, but they still managed. Like, she went over to his house, and Kyle's mom kind of understood the situation, and she was pretty chill. So she's like, all right, I'm not going to say anything. I get what's up. Like, you're cool, right? And they've gone out to the mall together and they see each other at school. But Kyle's never been over to her house, and Kyle's mom is always at the house. So they really have never had privacy together. And that's something that they really wanted. So one day, Kyle gets a text from his girlfriend saying, hey, my parents are gone for the night. You should come over. And Kyle's like, oh, like, really? And yeah, she's like, yeah, you should definitely come over. So Kyle gets into his car because he has a car. And, he texts before he gets in the car. He's like, hey, can I park in your driveway? Or is that going to be a little weird? And she says, well, I don't want the neighbors to see. Is there any way you can park in the park that's like a 2-minute walk from my house? And he's like, yep, 100% sure. Turns out that little detail saved him, but you'll see that in a second. So anyways, Kyle gets in his car, drives over to the park that is 2 minutes away from his girlfriend's house, parks in one of the parking spots, and, heads over. And there's no, like, for some reason, there was no, like, you can't park here overnight signs or whatever in the park, which is normally a thing I'd expect. Like, I know it's true for all the parks that I know of, but whatever, right? So he was planning to park there overnight and stay at his girlfriend's overnight. So he gets to his girlfriend's, and it's pretty cool because this is like the first time ever they really had some privacy. So, they're watching Netflix, they're talking, they had some dinner, like they ordered some Mexican food. You love to see it. Got some good enchiladas. Love to see it, man. But anyways, they're just chilling, enjoying themselves, and they just decide that, they both didn't smell good, so they were both going to take a shower. 100%. That is 100% their reasoning and logic. Do not question it. Do not question me. Don't think of anything else. They just both happen to be in the shower at the same time. Total accident. Total coincidence. Don't even question it, okay? So yeah, that happens to be the case. The problem is, because the shower was going, it was kind of loud because, like, when the shower goes, like, okay, I'm assuming you guys have taken a shower before, but you guys play Minecraft, so I don't know. I'm kidding. I play Minecraft too. But anyways, the shower, like, all the water's going, so it's kind of loud. And for that reason, they weren't able to hear a car pull up into the driveway, a car door open, and the front door open. What I'm trying to say is that Kyle's girlfriend's parents came home early. And it wasn't apparent to Kyle or his girlfriend because they were both in the shower and it was loud. The shower was loud, so they couldn't hear it. And Kyle's girlfriend's dad was, waiting. He kind of got back, was sweaty for some reason, changed into like, a towel in his room, and was literally, or like a robe, and was literally waiting outside of the door of the bathroom. Because he kind of just expected his daughter to walk out, and then he would just walk in. That was like nothing. It was kind of just what he expected. The thing is, though, Kyle and his girlfriend did not realize like that the dad was out there. And the thing is, so they turned off the shower. They're drying off a little bit. They both get into their robes and they start talking. And this is when, Kyle's girlfriend nor Kyle saw this, but we can only assume that Kyle's girlfriend's dad is like, why is there talking in there? So he's very intrigued at this point. He's like, what's going on? But he doesn't say anything. I don't know why. I think he just wants to like catch them or something. So sure enough, Kyle opens the door. And remember, Kyle has no idea that anyone was back. In fact, his girlfriend is convinced that her parents won't be back for like another 12 to 16 hours. And when Kyle told, because Kyle submitted this on Instagram, link in the description. Go follow me there, even if you're not going to submit stories. I like followers. But anyways, right, Kyle told me that was probably one of the scariest moments of his life. Or at least his heart, like, rate went from, like, I don't know, a resting 70 to a, like, 300 beats per minute, like, type, this, like, fluttering or whatever. Because Kyle opened the door and was face to face with one of the angriest looking dads he has ever seen. And immediately, the dad just starts screaming. Real quick, comment shower. If you want to heart in your comment, that will be the secret word of the day. And if you want to support the channel even more, just go binge watch more videos after this one, or at some point sit down and watch a bunch of videos. And please comment down below when you do that so I can leave a heart and maybe reply to your comment saying thank you. And also, I can't heart every comment, but I tend to heart almost all the comments within the first hour. So make sure your notifications are on. And with that, let's get back to the story because it's about to get pretty juicy. So anyways, Kyle has opened the bathroom door, smiling mid-conversation with his girlfriend. And his face just drops because he is met with the angriest looking dad of all time. And immediately, the dad starts screaming. And at first, the screaming is at Kyle's girlfriend. Like, who is this guy? Like, you know how we feel about you having a boyfriend. And even at that, like, you had him over when we weren't here and you didn't tell us. And you guys were both in the shower. Like, I'm so upset right now. There's so many things I'm angry about. And at this point, Kyle is like, just, first of all, for the first, like, 10 seconds or so, he's straight up shocked. And then afterwards, after the shock is kind of worn off, he's like, okay, this situation is getting bad because the girlfriend's dad is looking really angry. And he's a pretty big guy. And Kyle would lose in a fight if it ever got to that point. And Kyle's not about to risk that. Thankfully, they're on the first floor. And that's important a little bit later. And Kyle's thinking to himself, okay, I'm currently in a bathrobe, my clothes are in my girlfriend's room, and my keys to my car are in my girlfriend's room, and so is my phone. Like, I am completely helpless right now. So at this moment, the girlfriend's dad is still yelling at the girlfriend. So Kyle takes this opportunity to kind of start to walk towards the door. And the girlfriend's dad turns and says, "Where do you think you're going? Like, you're gonna get a piece of me." And the girlfriend's dad starts to lunge towards Kyle. And at this point, Kyle is close enough because he's in the girlfriend's room at this point. Quickly slams the door shut, and it does lock from the inside. I know a lot of people, they don't have doors that lock, like for their kids or whatever. But this house did. He locks it, and he hears bum, 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 bum on the door. Like, open up. I'm not done talking to you. Bum, 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 bum. Quickly, Kyle throws off his robe. He gets on his clothes. He puts his phone in his pocket. He gets his keys. He has everything. And he's like, "How do I get out of here?" The door is he's like, the only exit is through that door. And then he remembers that, there are multiple exits to a room besides the door. And then he remembers we're on the first floor. So he quickly turns around and he finds the window and he gets up to the window and he opens it up and he just he basically jumps out of there. He lunges out of there and he rolls onto the ground and he starts sprinting. He just starts sprinting and he keeps hearing bum, 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 open it up, bum, 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 open up. It starts to get fainter and fainter as he goes farther away. But at least he knows that the dad still thinks that he's in the room. So sure enough, he runs out of there, runs to the park, gets the keys in the cars, and just starts driving home. He's about 20 minutes away by car. So about 10 minutes in, he just pulls over to the side of the road, and he texts his girlfriend. He said, "Hey, text me back when you're there or whatever." And he doesn't get a text back, so he then eventually drives the other 10 minutes back home, and he's just sitting in bed, and or he's not sitting in bed, but he gets there, he gets back home, and he just sits on the table. His mom walks by. And she's like, "Wow, you're back already?" Because it was 10:30 at night. And then she's like, "Damn, Kyle, looks like you saw a ghost." Because Kyle is completely sweating. All the blood is out of his face. He's still kind of freaking out a little bit. So Kyle explains the situation, and she's like, "Oh my God, that's insane." She's almost eating a little bit of popcorn while listening to this. She's like, "Wow, tell me more. Wow, that's fascinating. My life is not interesting enough. Please tell me more." Eventually, the girlfriend texts back and says, "Hey, it's been a day." So Kyle's went to bed, he gets up the next day and he wakes up to a text. The text is from 4:30 in the morning. So most likely the girlfriend's been up all night and the parents are just berating her and probably all this kind of stuff. So she's like, "Hey, I just got my phone. I'm probably not going to have access to it for a while. I just want to let you know I'm so sorry for what happened. and just like, we'll talk about this more when we get back to school. And so sure enough, they meet up the next day and she's apologizing and Kyle's like, no, you're totally fine. Like, sorry for locking your door. And she's like, no, that's a great idea. My dad gets really angry and I don't know if he would have gotten physical or not. So that was pretty smart. And these two, Kyle and his girlfriend, end up breaking up within like a month or so. It was like they were good for each other and they didn't, they weren't like, I don't know, they weren't like necessarily breaking up on bad terms. It just wasn't going to work, especially with Kyle's girlfriend's parents. And they just kind of mutually agreed, nah, probably not. I'm not trying to do that. Kyle's like, I'm not trying to do that again, man. You're cool, but I don't think this is going to work.